Good morning, Chair Rasool, members of the committee. My name is Ashley Kenneth, and I am the President and CEO of the Commonwealth Institute. And I'm joined and supported today by Laura Gorin, TCI's Director of Research and Education Policy. Every student in Virginia, no matter who they are or where they come from, deserves the opportunity to attend a high-quality public school where they can thrive. Unfortunately, Virginia is far from doing what it can and must to support and create those high-quality schools. Analysis released in December by the Education Law Center used combined state and local funding data from the 2020 to 2021 school year to determine that Virginia provides less than the national average in terms of funding levels and less to high needs than low needs schools, earning D grades for both adequacy and equity. And Virginia does less than most states compared to our economic capacity, earning a D grade for effort. This matters because funding matters in educational outcomes. In terms of funding adequacy, according to a major 2021 meta-analysis, an additional $1,000 for at least 4 years leads to positive test score impacts, high school graduation, and college enrollment more than 91% of the time. And in terms of funding equity, research published last year in the Journal of Labor Economics found that equity in school funding has a large effect on the mobility of low-income students. In considering what those D grades mean concretely, it means less help for our Virginia students, particularly in communities with the highest needs who can't afford to make up for the state not fully funding schools. And it means that some of the students with the highest needs are falling farther behind. You can see from the graph on the left, while there has been some progress in graduation rates for non-English learners, for English learner students, the 4-year graduation rate is still just 73%. Looking at the graph on the right, you can see the National Assessment of Educational Progress results show that Virginia is doing less well than many other states for English learners, while we're closer to the middle for other students. The good news is that for last school year and the current school year, we have started to reverse these troubling trends. Last school year, 2022 to 2023, inflation-adjusted state per pupil support rose to above pre-Great Recession levels. And for the current school year, we're investing even more. These recent investments don't show up yet in the grades and the outcomes data that I mentioned previously because the data is not yet available. The bad news is that the introduced budget for the upcoming 2 years moves us backward. We know from JLARC's report that Virginia needs to invest billions more to make sure the state is doing its fair share to create great schools for every student. And by all measures, and after adjusting for inflation, the proposed budget falls short. Although the governor's proposed budget does not provide enough for our students to keep up with inflation, there are some proposed increases and policy initiatives. These include the state's share of a 1% bonus the first year and 2% salary increase the second year, although these are below projected wage and general inflation rates. There's money to keep Virginia on track with implementing the Literacy Act through increasing the number of reading specialists, continued flexible funding for student mental health, a grant program for industry-recognized credentials, money for a new assessment system, and a number of smaller changes. So how is it that the governor's proposed budget reduces state general fund money for K-12 even as he includes some new policy initiatives? One reason is reduced costs from lower average daily membership projections in the rebenchmarking process, but there's also a number of hidden cuts in the proposed budget, including using literary fund money for teacher retirement instead of school construction loans, ending the payment to localities meant to protect K-12 funding from the elimination of the sales tax on groceries, and not backfilling the cut to school funding in the upcoming 2 years that results from the rebenchmarking formula using federal funding data from the height of the pandemic. On net, the governor's budget has $300 million less in general fund support for direct aid for public education over the upcoming 2 years than current funding levels. Although nominal state per pupil funding is increased in the budget, given the billions in unmet need identified by JLARC and the projected reduction in inflation-adjusted state per pupil distributions to school divisions, we hope that legislators will be able to find additional support for our students. You have a number of opportunities to do just that, including implementing JLAR's near-term recommendations, making progress on student mental health, shoring up support for students with disabilities and English language learners, and investing in safe and restorative schools. High-quality public schools are the foundation of a multiracial democracy. It is what our students deserve, it's what our communities need, and we look forward to working with you all to fund our schools. Thank you.
Thank you.